Hi, I'm Sue Jansen. I currently have two homes. I live in Rochester, Northwest Rochester, Minnesota, where I've lived for 40-some years. But 6 months ago, I bought a house up in Crystal. My children are up here, and I'm trying to be closer to them so they can help. My husband is 70, I can't remember, but he has health problems also, so I'm trying to pull us both up here. I have a hard time defining brain injury because mine was, I've always had it. I've had over 40 significant brain trauma events. At age 3.5, I was batted against a wall and pummeled into a coma and not expected to live, and or I would be a vegetable and probably not long. I was sent back to the people who did it and then stolen away by my grandparents and passed to another set of grandparents trying to protect me. But ultimately I was taken back. It involved the military. And because it was at the hands of not a foreign entity, I am not eligible for victims of trauma and torture because it was an American soldier. So that precludes them, victims of torture, from even looking at me. I think that should be changed. But I could talk to you about many things. Brain injury affects everything. It affects my breathing. It affects my swallowing. I choke, I fall. And because mine is not like one spot, I was shaken, I was beaten. It's just, I'm pretty rattled. I guess that's kind of a way to put it. But I could talk about many things, but I'd really like to talk about employment. And specifically, I'd like to talk about cognitive accessibility. I think we do a fairly good job about physical accessibility, but we have not looked at cognitive accessibility. And the Workforce Center is there, and I've used it. I started working at age 8 to pay for my special education. We didn't call it that back then, but I needed special tutoring, and perpetrators were not willing to pay for special education because they considered me a stupid, lazy child. I have learning disabilities, so I paid for it by doing work at the school. I paid for my own special education. I have had a job, at least one job, usually 2 or 3 jobs since I was 8 years old. Not always real lucrative because of my disabilities, but I've tried. I have worked really hard. I put myself through college by using the university as a special reading and learning center. So I think so I went to the Workforce Center, and at one point they said I was no longer appropriate. At the Workforce Center, your services are free. You know, you could take computer classes and all that. I cognitively was not able to access those, so I was referred to Voc Rehab. Once I went to Voc Rehab, I now have to pay for services. So because I'm disabled, now I have to pay for the same services that the general workforce gets free. And I said, you know, it's a language. Computers are part of everything in our workforce, so you have to have it. And they wouldn't tell me how much it would cost. There was just, I said, if this was a scam in the private, if I met up with this in the private sector, I'd call it a scam, I'd walk away from it. So I think Voc Rehab needs to be looked at. And this brain injury or cognitive disabilities should be a class that, just like visually impaired or hearing impaired, it's funded. We do not have to pay for our own services because we're disabled. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming.